Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Heavy Hitters. We are back after a bit of a layoff, but we've got some great fights for you to preview, and we're going to go over the best fights that we have seen since the last episode. Today, I am joined by my good friends Christian Gardner and Brady O'Malley. So before we get into it, how are you guys doing?
Doing great. Glad to be back on the show. Get this thing back going now in the school year because there's a lot of great fights that we need to talk about.
Yeah, just like him, I'm happy to be here. I've really wanted to talk about these fights that have been happening lately. I'm glad to finally do it for this weekend's card. Can't wait.
I'm on the same page as you guys. So happy to be back where I belong on Heavy Hitters, the best PTV podcast. Um, but anyway, now that we've got that out of the way, we haven't done an episode since UFC 264 back in July. Obviously, there has been a lot going on since then. A lot has happened. So, we've seen some great fights over the course of those few months. So I want to know what you guys thought was the best fight, or perhaps your favorite fight since then. We'll start with you, Brady.
All right, so my favorite fight in this whole span is probably not a fight that most would think of, but personally, it just holds such a dear place in my heart. I gotta go all the way back to UFC 266, Sean O'Malley versus Chris Matino. That fight was amazing. I'm already a big fan of Sean O'Malley. I mean, we share the same last name, and I always make jokes that he's my cousin, which he's not. But even besides that, he's just such a great fighter. I love like the energy and the charisma that he surrounds himself with. And it also helps that he's a really damn good fighter. And at first I was going into this fight thinking it was just going to be him annihilating this random guy. But Chris Matino, on like a very short notice, came into this fight and just really took it all the way. He had the strongest chin I've seen in a while. There's many opportunities where I thought he was going to go down and he would just not go down. It had nothing to do with Sean O'Malley's ability. He was giving him everything he could. And if you look at past fights with O'Malley, he has a very strong punch. He's not just a typical like hit you a little bit and run away guy. He will knock you out like that. And he was given those same exact shots to this Matino guy. And I honestly, to this day, how many months later, still don't know how he was still standing. So to me, that was just such an enjoyable fight. I remember watching with my friends. We're all going nuts. I was going with O'Malley, so I was like, yeah, let's go Sugar Show. And it was just such a great atmosphere. And I was like, I'm gonna remember this fight for a while. I know it wasn't the main card, but it was my favorite, probably out of a long line of fights.
Brady, I think he has to be your cousin now. I think it's official now. He has to be your cousin.
Maybe like a second or third cousin. I'll look on ancestry.com, see if I find him.
Because why wouldn't you? It's one of the most fun fighters in the UFC right now.
Exactly. He's not even just the next Conor McGregor, as people keep saying he is. Like, because that's the comparisons he usually gets. But he's his own thing. He's his own animal, and he's one of a kind, and he's young too. So he'll be one of the most interesting fighters to see in years to come. He'll be dominating the league. He'll be dominating the UFC in about 3 years. Just quote me on that.
Without a doubt. But for the fight that I circled, I was going through two different ones, but I'm gonna go with Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw. Just a very, very back and forth fight in this one. And for me, TJ Dillashaw was one of those amazing fighters when I started watching the UFC and seeing a little bit of his fall from grace and being away from the UFC for some time. But also, I had not known about Sandhagen until that fight, and I will not forget him at all. And honestly, this fight could have gone either way. If you just looked at Dillashaw's face at the end of this fight, you would have said there's no way that Sandhagen didn't win this. There's no way. But I mean, just the back and forth, seeing the way that Sandhagen was able to throw off his back foot, backing away, and even getting away from takedowns. Yes, Dillashaw got him to the ground, but seeing him get out of possible submissions was amazing. But it's unfortunate it didn't go his way, but obviously a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, both of those fights were absolutely incredible to watch. Me personally, I'm gonna go with one that happened last weekend, the main event from last weekend's UFC event. I don't know why, but Jan Blachowicz versus Glover Teixeira, it kind of just had all the feels for me. I don't know. I kind of felt for Glover, 40 plus years old, finally getting a shot at the title. And to be completely honest, he owned Jan that entire fight. It didn't last very long. As soon as he took him to the ground, I was like, oh, this is not good for Jan. That first time, he could not even get up that entire first round. And I kind of saw the end. There was a short stint as a champ, but I'm so excited to see what Glover can do. As a champ, he deserves the title. He's been going for it for so long. And you just gotta be happy for the guy. The same way you had to be happy for Jan when he won the title after trying for so long. You just gotta be happy for the guy. It was well deserved, and he put on a hell of a performance. So those were our favorite fights. So now let's get into the fights that are going down tomorrow night. We have quite a card tomorrow. We have 3 amazing fights. I wanted to talk about Frankie Edgar, but unfortunately time does not permit us. So we're gonna jump right into Justin Gaethje versus Michael Chandler. Oh my God, I'm excited for this one. It's gonna be an all-out war, a war of attrition probably. Both guys, they like to keep the pace up. They have amazing power, and for Justin Gaethje, he has some chin on him as well. So we know they're going to be going back and forth the whole time. So what do you guys think each fighter has to do to get the win tomorrow night? We'll start with you, Christian.
Oh my gosh, this fight is going to be absolutely insane. The power that both of these fighters have. I mean, you don't know which punch is going to do it, but someone's going to go to the ground eventually. So obviously we know how much power each fighter has in this one. So it's going to be who has the alternative. What is, instead of your significant power blows, those non-power strikes, those are going to add up. For Gaethje, can he be chopping at the legs early and often? Chandler getting Gaethje to the ground. So definitely going to be so interesting in this one. But oh my God, I just can't wait for someone to go to sleep. That's what it's all about for me.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. This fight, like I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about this. Ever since Mike Chandler came to UFC from Bellator, he has been a hurricane. He has been phenomenal, which is you've never really seen something like that so quickly come from a guy that is coming from Bellator or one of the other associations. And we don't even have to talk about Justin Gaethje because just the way that he presents himself and his track record, he speaks for himself. He is just phenomenal. So these two are going to, like you guys said, they're going to have a war. They're going to really hit each other really hard, which I know is the basis of mixed martial arts, but these guys are going to take that up a level. They're going to really take it. They're definitely going to be a good contender for fight of the night. I would like Chandler to win, but again, either one of these guys can take it all because they're just that good of fighters. For Chandler, what he has to do to win, he has to stay hungry because that's what's got him good wins lately. Coming in from Bellator, going to the UFC, even though he was a champion in Bellator, UFC is a completely different animal. He comes in, he just annihilates who's ever in his path. He has to stay hungry. He has to keep on that grind, which I know he will, but it's more of he doesn't really need to fix anything technically, because technically he's amazing. He just needs to keep that mentality. As for Gaethje, he needs to basically watch his hits, almost like not go too crazy. He has to be a little more on the defensive, I think. He's got to, especially with a guy like Chandler, who's going to try and get him on the ground. He has to keep the fight up, I think. So, I mean, it's really anyone's game at this point. It can go either way.
Yeah, kind of going off of what you said, Christian, I really think that, at least for Gaethje, for him to get the win tomorrow night, I think he's really going to have to focus in on those leg kicks because we all know Chandler's going to come out and try to end the fight quickly. I don't think it's really going to happen quickly just because I think Gaethje has a pretty decent chin, to say the least. I don't think it's going to be lights out pretty at any time soon, like first or second round. I don't think that's going to happen. But it's really interesting because they're very similar fighters. They both like to push the pace. They both come from wrestling backgrounds. Even though they have become known for strikers, at least in their past couple of fights. And then for Chandler, he's just gotta do, like you said, Brady, do what he's been doing since he came into the UFC. He came in like a hurricane, and I think that Oliveira fight kind of humbled him a little bit. He kind of realized, like, yeah, I'm really good, but these guys in the UFC, they're not bad either. I'm not just gonna come in here and just take the UFC by storm. So I think it was actually a good thing that Chandler lost his last fight because I think now he kind of, like I said, humbled himself and he's gonna realize, you know what, I actually really have to focus on being technical and I can't just run in there and beat the crap out of everybody. So with that being said, we know what they gotta do, but who's gonna win tomorrow? We'll start with you, Brady.
So I already said who I wanted to win, and honestly, I'm gonna stick with that. I think Chandler's gonna take it. I feel like he's, especially like you said, after that Oliveira fight, he got humbled, but he seems like the type of guy not to like throw a tantrum over that, not to like have his career implode after that, but to really learn and essentially get better every time he loses. So I really feel like he's gonna come in ready to go at it again with new learning experiences, and he's just gonna take it. It's gonna go very far. It's not gonna, either it'll be a late round knockout or just goes all the way. I don't see this being a first or second round ending fight because Gaethje, as much as I want Chandler to win, Gaethje is an incredible fighter. They're gonna have a very interesting fight. It's gonna go very far. But ultimately, I think Chandler might win on the ground. But if he just really, really gets into Gaethje on the striking level, he's going to take it.
It's so up in the air for me. I really don't know because there's so much power between these two fighters. Gaethje has the power and the chin as well. I don't know. I'm going Gaethje, but in the third round, knockout. And just that, I think the long layoff, and even though Brady, you were putting great points. You're putting great points. I don't know, something in the Gaethje camp has me going that way.
Yeah, I don't know about this one either. I mean, looking at what I said before, for Gaethje, I feel like, Chandler's wide and low stance. He has that low stance. He has his lead leg out, and he does that to get good power punches and to be able to go shoot for the takedown. But that really leaves him vulnerable to those leg kicks. And obviously, Gaethje can totally take advantage of that. But with that being said, I think I'm gonna go Michael Chandler. I don't think it's gonna be a knockout. I think it's gonna go the distance, like the split decision or something like that. I think it's gonna be a really, really close fight. And honestly, it's my vote for fight of the night, honestly. So with that being said, one fight down, two to go. Next up, we have the women's strawweight title match. Third Rose Namajunas versus Jane Wei Lee. Now, last time these guys fought, you, Christian, and Michael Daly thought I was absolutely insane for picking Rose to win by knockout. Now, I'm not going to say what happened, even though, we all know what happened.
It was my best. It was my best moment. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I would rub it in Michael's face, but obviously he's not here today. But yeah, they're going at it once again. I mean, honestly, I think Rose just has a much more well-rounded fighter than Zhang Weili, in my opinion. I mean, Zhang Weili, she can win those wars of attrition just like she did against Joanna Jędrzejczyk. But at the end of the day, I think Rose is just a lot more well-rounded. And now that she has the title, I don't think she's really gonna give it up, even though Zhang is probably extremely determined to get the gold back. But with that being said, what are the keys to the win in this fight? We'll start with you, Christian.
Well, I went with Zhang in that first fight, knowing the elite striker that she can be. And Rose Namajunas really just kind of picked that apart. But I think that in this fight, having, seen Namajunas before, that this can flip the script again. But I don't know, Namajunas, such a well-rounded fighter. I mean, we can see her win with the ground game and, of course, win at her feet as well. I don't know. It's going to be such a tough matchup for Zhang to come back and change it again. But I think on the feet is how it gets done. But obviously, the bigger build of Zhang as well. But Namajunas, another great ground fighter. So I don't know. How do you see it, Brady?
Basically, the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of this fight, these two women are killers. They are the best of the best, the cream of the crop. When I think of women's UFC, I think of three names. The only name that's not in this fight is Amanda Nunes, and that's just because she's Amanda Nunes. These two are incredible. Thug Rose lives up to her name. She absolutely just goes into it. She, like you guys said, she is an well-rounded fighter. I think that all her weaknesses have been buffed out from her losses. She has definitely climbed up. She's learned because she's had fights where she was not looking too good, and she learned from that. And while Zhang also is gonna be someone that's gonna learn a lot from their last fight, I don't know. I feel like her time is coming to an end because she's been great for so long. I don't know. I feel like this is Namajunas' time to shine, and she's gonna really cement her legacy with this one.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I mean, Zhang has incredible cardio and power, but it's worth mentioning that fight against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, which won fight of the year, I believe, when they fought. It was incredible to watch, but it was a really close fight at the end of the day. Even though Joanna kind of looked like Frankenstein at the end of the fight, I mean, it was still really, really close. And I just don't think that really bodes well for Zhang. I mean, she has two really good aspects of her fighting game, but Rose is just so well-rounded. I know that power at the end of the day is the ultimate equalizer. One good punch, and Rose might be down for the count, out for the rest of the night, whatever you want to say. But I don't know. I kind of just don't see Zhang winning this one. But what do you guys think? What do you think, Brady?
I kind of was saying who I thought was going to win in my little talk, but I'm going to say it again for the kids in the back who couldn't hear me. This is going to be Thug Rose first round knockout. That's what I say. It's bold, but I say Rose in the first. She is here, and she's not going away for a long time.
Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me two times, shame on me. And should I be a fool? Should I be a fool? I mean, I already went opposite you guys in our first matchup, but I don't know. History tells us that Rose holding on to the belt, not so much, but maybe to cement that legacy. You know what, Brady? I'm in with you. Let's go with Rose. I'm not going to be as bold with the first round knockout, but let's go
There
Rose.
we go. There we go. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah. Rose in the third.
We are all in agreement, boys. I think the longer this fight goes on, it's honestly going to be worse for Rose. So I'm going to say, I don't think she's going to get her out of there. I don't think she's going to get Zhang out of there right away. I'm going to go Rose, TKO, fourth round, something like that. I don't know. I feel like it's going to be a really good fight. I think they're both going to get kind of beat up, to be honest. But, Rose, Third Rose, holding on to that title. Again, she deserves it, let's be honest. And yeah, I can't wait to watch it. All right, guys, moving on to the main event, the reason why we are here today. Kumaru Usman versus Colby Covington Dose. Yeah, there's really not much to say. First fight was absolutely incredible. It's safe to say these two guys are 1 and 2 in the welterweight division, respectively. Kumaru Usman is one of the most dominant champions that I've ever seen in the UFC ever. I don't even think he has a weakness as a fighter at all. I genuinely don't. And Colby Covington, say what you want about the guy. People hate him. I don't really like him that much. Everyone wants to see him get beat up. But to be honest, he's a really good fighter. You can't deny that. He probably put up the best fight against Kumaru Usman. He dropped him in that fight, which I didn't see coming at all. Obviously, he went on to break his jaw later on in that fight. Whatever, not gonna talk about that. But what do you guys think that Usman has to do? Does he have to do the same thing he did in that first fight? Are there any adjustments he can make? Or, same thing goes for Covington. What do you think he has to do to prevail tomorrow night? What do you think, Christian?
Even you said it, Joe. Just the dominance that Kumaru Usman has. He's the number one fighter in the UFC for me. He's the number one fighter. Like, I love Adesanya. I really do. But like the dominance of Kumaru Usman is amazing. But going into this fight for Covington, it's on the defensive side. That head movement, can he get out of the way of those strikes? Because of course we always bring up Usman the wrestler, but we've seen Usman rock a whole bunch of people. Okay, so he is just as dangerous as he is on feet that he is on the mat. So it's definitely gonna be getting out of that. And also, if this is going the distance, can he get Usman to the ground? Obviously, the wrestler that Usman is, it's a tough task. But I think if Covington can do that and lead the way in strikes and getting out of the way of Usman's power shots, then he could find a way to win this one.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, is this going to be a fight? These two are both in their primes, but as you guys have been saying, this is Kamaru's fight to lose. He is, without a doubt, the best fighter on the roster right now. I had my doubts about him. I used to not like him. For both Masvidal fights, I was like, oh, Masvidal's going to kill this guy. He's got nothing on him, game bred. He's washed, blah, 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 blah. He silenced me very quick. Same thing with Burns. I thought Gilbert Burns was going to have his way with him. Kumaru Usman silenced me again. Like you said, Joey, I do not see a weakness in this man. He is just that good right now. This is his time, and I feel like it's going to be a time that lasts longer than anyone would expect. Again, Colby Covington, we all hate him. We can all agree that we hate him, but he is a great fighter. He's top tier. And as much as we all want to see him get clocked, you have to admit that he is going to put up a fight. He's going to probably give Usman the toughest competition he's had up to this point. Like you said in the first fight, Covington really went at him. He was probably the best that went at him. And the one thing that Kumaru has to focus on more than anything is to make sure his head does not get too big. Because we saw this in the Jan Blachowicz fight last week. We saw a guy go into a fight really riding on so many good wins, so many strong wins, and really feeling like nothing can stop them. And then look, you have 42-year-old Glover Teixeira knocking, like just getting him and surprising the world. And the same thing could happen to Usman. While his technique and everything he does in his fighting is fantastic, it's really a mental and an ego thing with him. He cannot go into it being like, oh, I'm going to annihilate this dude. He has to be cautious because Covington is amazing. He really has to go into it with, hey, this guy is still really good. I have to be smart.
Yeah, I mean, to go back to Jan Blachowicz in comparison to Kumaru Usman, I think the thing that has made Kumaru Usman so great is that he just keeps improving. But he's not stagnant. And I think that's why Jan lost last week. He's kind of like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to improve. But Kumaru Usman, every time he comes out, obviously we know about that exactly. We know about that wrestling, but his striking has gotten so much better over these last couple of fights. Talking about Covington, you know, he hasn't fought that much since he lost to Usman. He fought Woodley, he got a late stoppage win. And typically, you know, not fighting that much and, you know, staying healthy is a good recipe for fighters. But against Usman, I don't think that's really the case. You know, Usman has had to keep improving to beat guys like RDA, Masvidal, Gilbert Burns, and honestly, he just kind of looks unstoppable right now. I don't see any scenario where he loses this fight, but you know what? Anything can happen. It's the UFC. So, with that being said, who's gonna win tomorrow night, guys? We'll start with you, Brady.
All I can say is the Nigerian Nightmare is taking it. He is going to show up in Colby Covington's dreams that night and scare the piss out of him every day for the rest of his life. Kumaru Usman is coming into this fight and he is winning. Colby Covington is going to make it a great fight. He's not going to go down without a fight. He's going to really take it. But there's no scenario where Kumaru Usman loses.
I'm on the same page. I just don't see it like at all. I just don't see it. The championship pedigree that Usman has right now, it's just the dominance. It's the era that we're in right now. It's Usman's era. So I'm rolling with the house money.
I am going with Nigerian Nightmare. You know what I would love to see? Guys, I would love to see Usman beat Covington at his own game. I want to see him take him to the ground and choke him out. I'm going to go third round submission. Usman's going to take not take the title, he's going to keep the title and just keep on going. He's going to run through everyone. He's probably going to run through the whole world, if you ask me. I don't know when he's going to stop. You know, take down Jake Paul. I'd love to see that. But anyway, that is all we have time for today. Thank you so much to Brady O'Malley and Christian Gardner for joining me on this very momentous episode of Heavy Hitters. But that's all. Thank you so much for watching, and everyone stay safe.